So I'm just going to take it off again. I want to just make sure if I work this adjuster, that is pushing them out. That seems to be working. So now what we'll do is we'll turn it back in as far as it'll go and see whether that drum will go on easier. Actually, I think I know what's wrong here. This, let me bring the camera around again, I'll just show you. I think what's happening, you can see that that's not actually sitting properly in that groove, and what's preventing it from going is this new adjuster, the Alana, is actually holding it back. So that may need to be adjusted slightly. Remember that we can adjust that at the back, so we need to do that first. I'm going to move the camera to the other side so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so there's a nut in the back here which is holding this Alana in place, and that allows it to move up and down. There we go. There we go. Excuse me. Now look, I'm happy with where that sits on that dog. We can see it was previously running, the teeth are running there. They're now running a little bit higher. I'm fine with that. I think what we'll do, we'll put the drum on. Once the drum's on, we'll tighten this adjuster back up. And I'm hoping that it'll all kind of self-align. At the back here we've got these two large nuts which hold this main plate in place, and you want those self-centered, or you want to allow those to self-center. These have shake-proof washers on them. So you do have to loosen it quite a bit to get the tension off of those shake-proof washers. And as one of our subscribers, Hoots, has pointed out on one of the videos, I had put Loctite on here, so I had to take them off and clean it off, because obviously you want it to be adjustable. And with those shake-proof washers you don't need any form of Loctite. So there we go. So that's nice and loose. And that can move if it wants to. There we go. Right. Let's get this drum on. Right, we've still got our holes aligned north and south, sort of. And then bring the drum in, and hopefully that's more like it. So it literally just slides on. Now we've got new retaining screws, and we'll put some never sees on those as well. Excuse me. Now these don't need to be tight. Can't stress that enough. I know I've said it before. They literally their only job is to hold that drum in place when you've got the wheel off. When you've got the wheel on, the wheel nuts are holding that drum on and they're not doing anything. So don't overdo them. It's the worst thing in the world when you're trying to do the brakes, you want to work on the brakes, you want to change brake pads, whatever, and you spend half a day just trying to get those two screws out, and it's just not necessary to over tighten them. Okay, so now if we spin this, and that will allow everything to align. Now what we'll do is we'll tighten up this adjuster, which will where's my spanner gone? Which will force those two brake pads out against the drum. Excuse me. And should cause everything to align. Starting to tighten up. And that's now impossible to move. So now what we'll do is tighten it just a little bit more, just to make sure everything is nicely aligned. Can't move that wheel. I mean, I've probably got two hopes in hell of moving this now, but anyway, it's worth a try. We'll loosen that off to where I can just move the wheel like that. Move it a little bit. And you see how it's got easier. So the pads have realigned. Now we'll go the other way. And tighten it up again. You can also, some people will give the drum a bit of a smack with a hammer. I don't think that's necessary. I think some people just do it because it makes them feel good. Right, that's nice and tight. So we'll loosen it off half a turn, and loosen it off another half. There we go. So we can hear that the brake shoes are touching the drum, but they're not causing it to burn. And that's about where you want it at this stage. Obviously, once you put the wheels on, you've got a lot more leverage, and you can adjust them a little bit more accurately with the wheels on. But for now, that's where we want to be. If we had the brake pedals on, we would activate the brakes a few times, again just to help everything to align, and then we'd tighten everything up. What I'm going to do for now, I'm going to tighten things, but again, I'll just remember when we come back later, when we've got all the wheels on and we're adjusting the brakes for the final time, we will probably just allow both this plate here and this the alignment plate at the back here to self-align again. But for now, so that I don't forget them, I'm going to just tighten these up. Come around the other side of the camera. Okay. I'm not I'm tightening them, but I'm not going mad at the moment because I'm very likely to loosen these again. I want to realign them again. So that's that. So the other thing that we can do now quickly, now that we've got the drum on, is we can tighten this nut, because we now know that that's adjusted correctly and that's sitting in the right place. And we can also move the spring down here, down the shaft, onto that washer, just covering up that hole in the back of the backing plate. That's a lot more movement than I want, so I am going to just tap this back slightly, and I think that's more where I want it to be. Now what we'll do is we'll tighten this bolt which holds this knuckle in the right place on the shaft. So that won't move again, and we'll literally have just a tiny little bit of play there, just enough to keep things nice and free. So we've got on here will be the brake pedal, which activates this wheel only. In other words, the almost like the brake steering pedal. And then on here goes the main brake pedal linkage, which links to runs through to the other side as well, through the shaft that runs through the bell housing. But we'll cover that when we come to put the pedals back on, which will probably be the next video. Well, there you go. That's replacing the brakes, putting the drums on, and kind of setting everything up. At least for a preliminary set. If you're finding that your brakes aren't running true, hopefully I gave you a couple of pointers there. One would be those studs. I'm pretty sure those can be adjusted in order to, just to realign the pad with the drum. So that's one option. The other is the loosen both the guard for the adjuster and also the two big nuts on the inside to loosen the, I'm not quite sure what you call it, but the pivot points, I suppose. No, not the pivot points. They're the opposite. It's where the actuator actually rides up against or pushes out the two pads. That can realign or be realigned. And I think I've done it myself. You replace pads. You take the drum off, take the pads off, put new ones on, put it all back together, and you hope everything's hunky-dory. Of course, every set of pads is different. The drum is worn a little bit, and really allowing it to self-center is a good thing. So even if you're just replacing pads, just loosen those two big nuts at the back, especially. Also that adjuster, just to make sure if for example the adjuster's starting to get worn, the teeth are a bit worn, just move. You can move that slightly, and that will allow the teeth to run in a slightly different area of the gear. Another thing that you can do is, if you need to adjust it, is you can realign those two screws. You've got a left-hand thread and a right-hand thread. You saw me, I put them both all the way in and then adjusted them out. You could have one of them slightly off, so that it's say 2, 3, maybe 4 turns more out than the other one, and that would automatically move that adjuster. Well, you need to release the alignment frame, that silver frame, and allow that to realign, and then tighten it back up again. Just a couple of things there that I wasn't necessarily aware of, and certainly things that I don't always do when I'm working on brakes. Anyway, so hopefully that helps. Obviously we'll get the other side done now. Once that's done, the next video will be on replacing all the pedals and all the linkages, so we'll get all that done. That will be interesting, I'm sure, and that pretty much finishes the back end. Obviously, we've still got the lift arms and all of that, but we're not going to do those until we've actually completed the whole back end, meaning the transmission case, and removing the hydraulic pump and servicing that, which is, I'd like to do that, but I don't know if we're going to be able to do that anytime soon, or it's certainly not going to be the next thing we do, because obviously that's a very expensive repair. I think the kit for the hydraulic pump alone is almost £200, so we need to find the funds for that. But there are other things we can do. One thing I started thinking about already is there are some of the body panels that we could actually start dealing with in terms of trying to get them nice and smooth, the bonnet and the two clamshells, for example. We could see if we can get those a bit smoother and get those painted, because nothing's dependent on those. So and I've got the paint and I've got the equipment to be able to do that. So that's probably going to be where we'll go next. Beyond that, well, we'll see how we go. There's a couple of things I wanted to mention. One is if you have a look at my Facebook page, there's a link to a tractor run on the 7th of April, Sunday the 7th of April. It's leaving from Bishop's Nympton Town Hall, which is in North Devon, not far from South Molton. It's in aid of the fund to repair the steeple on the church at Bishop's Nympton, and it sounds like a great event. So it starts at 9 with a big breakfast, which will be interesting. The tractor run itself starts at, I think it was 11:30, and then finishing at a hall nearby for cream tea at 3. So from 3 to 5 they're serving a cream tea. It's the Oxham Hall, which is in Marionlee, which is not, well, it's between Bishop Nympton and South Melbourne. Anyway, have a look at the link on our Facebook page, and if you are in the area, if you're North Devon, maybe Central Devon, possibly South Somerset, anywhere like that, or maybe further afield, but you're able to transport your tractor, then we'd love to see you. And it sounds like it's going to be a great event. We'll be there. We've registered. We'll be there with our international, and looking forward to a great day there as well for that day, for that tractor run. Sorry. Excuse me. The other thing I wanted to mention was it's been a while since he asked me to, but Thomas Holly in Australia asked me to mention his Facebook group as well. It's Ferguson, I think it's Ferguson Tractors and Implements. I'll put a link in the description for this video so that you can find it easily. But he asked me to just mention the group. It's a great group. A lot of stuff, a lot of information and interesting facts shared on the group. Mostly photos and pictures of other people's tractors. Thomas himself has got a couple of tractors. I know that he recently acquired a Ferguson, not dissimilar to ours, and I know he's been working on that. But obviously, a lot of other people participate in that group as well. So yeah, take a look, and if you like it, join the group. If not, then at least just like the group, and yeah, just support them because yeah, they're a great bunch of guys. So those are the two things I wanted to mention this week. Again, we've still got a lot of work to do here. We've got a lot to be getting on with, and expect another video in the next few days, I imagine. And yeah, that's probably it from me for today. I hope it's been informative. I hope it's been helpful. Cheers for now.